moving down the deer from the shoulder. Next step is the rack. So what I have here is, I have 4 lovely double cut chops. It was my hope to go ahead and get 8, but based on where this deer was shot, I ended up losing some of the bones from the other side of the loin. So I went ahead and did a bone out loin, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna feature 1 bone in with a couple slices of the bone out, okay? So again, it's coming from the same muscle as the bone in. The only difference is no bones, okay? And again, that was kind of dictated by the shot the hunter left. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna prepare my meat. Again, because this is one of the priority items. I want to make sure this meat has enough time to marinate. I want to make sure that it's got enough time to rest. Okay, because it's better to go ahead and sear this at a room temperature. Okay, if I try and sear it from cold, it's going to cool down that pan quite a bit. What I'm going to do, give them each their own. Towel, tin foil, and vinegar wrap. So what I'm going to do is a little white distilled vinegar on the towel. And what this does is it kind of bleaches out your bones as they cook. So you're not going to end up with bones with a bunch of little burnt pieces on them. It just kind of takes away from the visual aesthetics of having the rack. So vinegar. Do is again just wrap that towel and foil around each double bone chop, okay? So I'll be able to cook it just like this. This will work on the grill. This will work in a cast iron pan like I'm doing today. But again, the idea behind it is aesthetic value, all right? It's gonna make it look pretty. These bones should come out nice and white after they cook. Okay, and again, that's due to the vinegar. So what I'm trying to do here is, I'm trying to get hunters and preparers of hunted food an idea of what they can do with the products. So as a chef, being classically trained, I want to French it up all the time. But what I need to do is I need to remember that people like a more approachable meal. This is one of my more upscale recipes. And again, the only thing really making it more upscale is just leaving it on the bone, okay? So the flavor profiles here are going to be very complementary. We're kind of keeping this one in we're moving down to South America with a little bit of chimichurri, which is a herb sauce, which will give it a nice pop, okay? That zest from these herbs and the garlic are really going to make this an awesome sauce. With my meat, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it all seasoned up. And I love Worcestershire sauce. Anytime I'm approaching red meat, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce goes a long way. Essentially, all I'm doing there is letting this marinate for a few minutes. Get a little bit of olive oil on there, salt. Okay, and I don't need to do too much to the meat, believe it or not, because this sauce has a very pungent flavor. It's very big flavor, so, and it goes so well with nice medium rare meat. Salt, a little fresh cracked black pepper. And flip. Now that I got my meat prepared, I'm just going to let this guy go ahead and rest back here until I'm ready to do the sear. Get him off my station so I can get it nice and clean again. My wort, I have a little raw touch there. Never want to cross-contaminate. So again, protein prepped and ready to go. Off to the side here, have a little bit of potatoes boiling. Okay? These potatoes are going to go ahead and go for a cumin whipped potato, which is going to kind of go ahead and go along with that Argentinian flavor with the chimichurri as well. So, guys, we're just going to let it simmer away. Potatoes will take about 45 minutes. I cut them up into a nice large dice. A little bit of heavy cream. A little bit of roasted garlic paste. And a little bit of whole butter. And I'm going to go ahead and get this on the stove now and get it warming up so that it's ready when I'm ready. Reserve a little bit of my whole butter to finish browning the chops at the very end after I get a nice sear in them. Alright, so right here, butter, heavy cream, roasted garlic, and then a little roasted cumin. Alright, and all that is just a little cumin powder that I've toasted in the oven for about 5 minutes. Okay? Nice little flavor up there. Alright, potatoes are going, butter and cream is going, meat is ready. Next thing I'm going to focus on is my chimichurri. And again, chimichurri is going to be a very pungent herb sauce. I have flat leaf parsley and curly parsley, both harvested from our greenhouse. I have cilantro, again, harvested from our greenhouse. I have some nice fresh garlic. I have a friend who grows this, so also local. Red wine vinegar here. And red pepper flakes. Again, I've toasted off in an oven on a sizzle plate for about 5 minutes. Okay, so I put these on here in an oven, 325, about 5 minutes. That just gets those oils loosened up, it gets them moving around. It actually removes a little bit of the heat and makes them a little bit more sweet. So, toasting those herbs is always a good, or toasting those spices is always a good thing. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, since I've already picked my herbs, I'm going to move back to our RoboCoupe here. And this is just a food processor. I'm going to add herbs. Take the garlic, a little sizzle on that again. And again, sizzle is just slicing it into nice little slices so that I can run my knife through one more time for a nice mince. Alright? Because again, this is not going to be cooked, so that raw garlic flavor, very, very pungent. You got to make sure it's diced small enough so that somebody's not eating a whole clove of garlic and then that's all they can taste. That's what we want to avoid. Already got a little roasted garlic in the potatoes, so when it's done, I'll come back through again. And what I want to do is I want to cut these guys until they're all about the same size, okay? Because I want to make sure they cook evenly, or that the flavors are released evenly. Again, because this is not getting cooked in the chimichurri sauce. So I have about a tablespoon and a half here of minced garlic that I'm going to go ahead and add into my herbs. red wine vinegar, red peppers, robo, olive oil, just about a tablespoon to coat those leaves. And then what I do is I add a little bit of hot water to kind of soften that garlic flavor. Chimichurri is meant to be eaten the next day, so it has time to kind of macerate overnight. If you don't have that time, the addition of a little hot water does just that. Okay, it kind of speeds up the process. And because I have the luxury of having a commercial kitchen right here at my disposal, I'm using one of our kitchen robo coops. You can use any kind of immersion blender, magic bullet, anything that's going to be able to give this kind of pulse chop. Right. So with all my ingredients in there, I'm going to pulse it a couple of times. Go with about 2 ounces of water. So all I'm looking for is that I'm able to combine this into a semi-homogeneous mixture. Building those flavor profiles. I got enough heat, I got nice garlic, I got a good herb content. Got enough liquid in there, so what I'm going to try and do now is emulsify a little bit of oil in there, almost making like a vinaigrette per se. Alright. Checking on my potatoes now. Don't want to start my meat until I know these guys are about there. I would hate to be waiting for potatoes to cook and overcook my venison. That would be a shame. These guys are nice cooked. I'm going to take one out and show you here on the cutting board, but you're able to go ahead and kind of mush it. Alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this off to my sous chef Sam over here. What I want Sam to do is pour the potatoes into a colander, drain all the water off. Once all the water is drained off, she's going to empty the potatoes out onto my sheet tray here and into my oven. Okay, and again, I'm going to let it kind of steam. I'm going to let that moisture evaporate so I don't end up with wet potatoes. I want the cream and the butter to be the only moisture that's in my potatoes. Alright, so with those guys being in the oven, I think I'm ready to go on the meat. This can also be done on the grill. And you're going to do the same thing on the grill, okay? Still want to foil your bones. I still throw the Worcestershire and the olive oil on there. So while I'm waiting for that guy to get nice and hot, ready my mixing bowl for those potatoes to come out of the oven. And I use a paddle attachment for my KitchenAid mixer. One of the best ways that I know to get it nice, fluffy with potatoes. Okay? I don't want any lumps in my potatoes. I want to be able to pipe them very nicely. Alright, so Robert's got our chimichurri sauce. Look at how pretty that looks. That is nothing but just flavor. Big time flavor. Pour meat over one more time. I'm going to do a quick hand wash while my pan is heating up further. Okay. Need that nice hot pan for good caramelization. Nice little flips here on the other side. And once I get a nice sear on these guys, I may have to send them into the oven to finish cooking, okay? And that's what I'm going to save the juices for in case they need to go in the oven. Alright, I think our potatoes are about ready to come out. So, my butter and cream is already warm. Got my roasted garlic in there. I'm happy camper. My nice hot potatoes. Okay, I don't want these to get cold. That's how you get lumpy potatoes. I don't want lumpy potatoes. Nice caramelization on there. Okay, that's really nice. That's exactly what I want to see. And that's where meat is going to get that nice flavor from. So you don't want to serve somebody a poached piece of venison. It's not going to have a lot of flavor. It's not going to be what you want. All right. Potatoes. My mixing bowl. Alright. I'm going to tell you guys all the secret for Chef Mike's fluffy mashed potatoes. Before I add any butter and cream to this mixture, I take this, just potatoes cooked properly, paddle attachment in my KitchenAid mixer, medium speed, and I want to whip that into a nice thick paste. And at that point, I add in my butter and my cream. And that's where my nice fluffy, smooth potato comes from. Just go ahead and brown up and kind of noisette. Alright, adds a little bit more flavor. These bad boys. Nice caramelization. And right now, they're feeling about rare. So with that, I'm going to pop in the oven for a minute. And again, you can always add more. You can't take away. So when I cook very much with all my senses. My eyes, my nose, my ears. Okay, and obviously taste. But there's a lot that goes into being a good cook. Alright, so butter and cream in my potatoes. Whipped potato, okay, no lumps, no lumps. And what I do next, this is going to go in a piping bag for a little bit more refined presentation. So what I do next is what I call shotgunning. And I'll take the mashed potatoes. And again, this doesn't make the food taste better, but it does make it look better. And believe it or not, we eat with our eyes first. So, into the shotgun. Now, double check on our meat here. Smelling beautiful, it's looking beautiful. I don't want it to be too rare, but a nice medium rare is fine. So chops I'm going to go ahead and take out. And I'm going to let this cool for a minute, and Sam, you're going to come over foil and the napkin here in a minute. Paper towel. Taking a look at the chops. Again, nice caramelization on the outside. What I'm looking is that there's a little spring to the meat, okay? When I push on it, it bounces back. That's a good sign that those proteins are denatured. Loin piece here, hang out. Hot pan. Roll it over in this. And it's very important, cookers and hunters, when you're working with meat, anything that you're slicing, anything that you're going to cut into, you let it rest. You let it come back down to a nice room temperature almost, 100 degrees. All those proteins bind up and they're like, oh gosh, it's so hot, we need out of here. Well, if you cut into it right then, all those juices are gone. Okay? That's all the moisture. Then you're going to end up with a very dry, not very palate-friendly product. So I got my potatoes, I got my sauce. What I want to make sure is that when I'm plating ready-to-eat food or handling ready-to-eat food, I have gloves on for sanitation purposes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate one, and my sous chefs are going to come behind me and finish for me. When we plate, I always want to build for height, okay? So piping potatoes comes in handy. What I want to do is I want to form a nice little backdrop, and then I want to rest my double cut on there. So what I do, starting right there about 11 o'clock. Doing 4 little half circles. And then once he does that, you're going to come right behind him. Just give me a little blob in there, and what I'm going to do is, when I plate that, push it all out. But what I want to do is I want that on the bottom, because I'm going to slice the loin. And anytime you're serving a sliced product, you don't want to cover it with sauce. Okay, because the idea is that I'm able to see that beautiful medium rare. To salt it after I carve it, the reason being is you're only able to season the outside of it. So nice little salting on each one. Alright guys, and then here's what I want Sam. You're going to take your chop. Boom. Okay. Robert, you're going to come right behind her. Take your 2 slices. Boom. Good. Our nice seared lamb. Sauce chimichurri. Cumin garlic whipped mashed potatoes.